Welcome to List and Sell Online, our fourth instalment. If it appears that I've been a little absent from doing the webinars, I certainly haven't been absent at the coalface talking directly with salespeople, talking through deals with great regularity. So you're on here now. If you are confronted with any issue, I do invite you to give me a call. I've had enormous success. I reckon I've made more sales in the last 2 weeks than I made almost in my entire career. And I reckon I'll nearly be leading Australia with the number of sales that obviously I've done from a hands-on point of view and assisted on the way through. Today, we're going to talk about prospecting. We're going to talk about Pröspector, and we're going to talk about the very important tool, Property Marketer, and how that can have you connecting with property sellers. Before I do that, I'm just going to frame it up for you so that you get probably a better understanding of what is going on now and what is likely to transpire in the next couple of weeks and couple of months going forward around COVID. Irrespective of the speculation and everybody speculating as they typically do in these environments, I can pretty much assure you of a couple of things. One thing I can't say with any clarity is how bad or how severe the drop in property prices might be, mainly because we're in unprecedented territory. In the respect that we haven't had an economy stop like this for near on a century, and the fallout of that, despite the fact that the world's well connected, is this is worldwide. So although we're feeling it directly inside the real estate industry, it transcends the real estate industry. It's the entire economy, and you know, a lot of people, a lot of property sellers are in a little bit of denial at the moment. So you might be feeling that, where they're just not willing to play ball on the decline in property prices already. Some are even speculating that the market will bounce back. I saw some very irresponsible articles by those with a vested interest in the marketing of property and the like, pretty much suggesting that the market will bounce back because of low interest rates, which is true. The interest rates will be low. In fact, I reckon they might even get to zero. And that, yes, there is a government stimulus, and yes, the banks have participated pretty much by direction from the government in giving people mortgage holidays and all these sorts of things. However, what's that going to add up to? Well, those that are waiting and those that are hanging on and hoping that it's going to recover, typically what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of these people, and then when they finally realize that they do have to sell, this is going to cause a rush on the market. And the harsh reality of that is that you're going to have an oversupplied market. You're going to have more properties on the market than there are buyers for them. This can only mean one thing in terms of the value of property and what they're likely to sell for. Naturally, it will have to decline because supply will readily exceed demand. Now, that's not to say that this is not the case at the moment, and I know that you're probably confronted, many of you, with a gap. There are buyers out there, and I do want to frame this up as well. I've been talking to a lot of salespeople about this, about framing their buyers up around three things, and you might even want to write this down. I did approve it. Justin, hang on. There we go. Sorry, folks. Yes, and there's been, with the buyers, they fall into three categories, and I do ask you to pay real close attention to this. The first category is a buyer that has to buy now. Now, they're the obvious ones that are going to put up with it. They might be a bit discerning about price, but of course, if you show them the property that they like, they'll find a way to buy it. They are pretty much drying up now. Then you've got a B-class buyer. These are buyers that would buy if the right circumstance or the right opportunity presented itself. Now, this would be a property that they absolutely love. Again, they might be relatively discerning around price, but assuming everything kind of meets with them and they fall in love with the property, they'll go ahead and do it. And then, of course, you've got those C-class buyers that are going to be motivated typically by prices. They're waiting for prices to come back to a level where they've either got more bang for their buck or they can, in fact, go ahead and buy a property. Couple this with the owners that are just hoping that it's all going to go away and there's going to be some sort of recovery, and those that have got relatively strong motives, and you've got a very confused market. So this is where I say now more than ever, the last thing you want to be going, especially from a prospecting perspective, is attacking that market around price. I jokingly said this on the last webinar that I presented, where I basically said, you know, where I see agents are offering market appraisals, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like a race to be out quick. But I'm pretty much, you know, of the opinion that if someone called me right now and said, what's my property worth? I'd say, what time is it? Because in the next hour, do you want the now price or do you want the price that it's likely to be tomorrow morning? That's how rapidly this is likely to change. Now, I know that many of you be putting up with owners, and you might even disagree with me to some degree. I'm pretty much, if you want to have a wager on it, I reckon I'm right. But let's say that I'm not quite right. One thing I know for sure is that property values are not likely to go up, and they're highly unlikely to recover to where they were pre-COVID. So there's going to be some sort of fall, and we don't know what the fall's going to be. So if you make your prospecting position one where you are making pitches around price, I can almost assure you that you are pretty much headed for disaster. So I just see that, welcome, Justin. I did get that all sorted out for you, mate, so we're all good. Okay, so what I want to talk about here is how we go about the business of prospecting in an environment where there is typically a lot of anxiety and a lot of, that's the wrong one. Sorry, folks. Oh, there we go. Where there's a lot of anxiety around the business of listing a property for sale. And the first thing I ask you to do, and look, I've been through this, even with some of the people that I've been coaching this week. You know, there was one instance where, you know, an owner was threatening to withdraw, and I was talking this through with one of the salespeople. And I basically said to that salesperson, look, I do think they have to sell, but I think they're just digging their heels in price. And the reason you're probably having trouble with them is you're making it about price. And so what you've got to do is get out there and see this owner and just push all that aside and just look at them and say, for goodness sake, tell me what it is that you're trying to achieve here. Tell me what it is that's worrying you, and make it about motive. Well, the same situation is going to evolve. I hope that you allow it to evolve around the prospecting regime. So in order to do that, we want to couple you in with the developments that we've made in and around the property market, where we've re-engineered it somewhat to suit the COVID environment. Fundamentally, even around lockdown. So we're trying to put the emphasis back in to the online communication, because people are essentially at home and a lot of them are jumping online anyway. And how you can actually make the connection as an agent of opportunity. And then when you do make that connection, again, as I've always said to you, as I've said long ago, inside of consultative prospecting, do not make it about price. Make it about giving people advice, but more importantly, giving that advice unreservedly, not with any intention of necessarily listing the property. You seriously have to let go of that. I know that for a lot of you that will feel rather strange, given in the last decade it's always, and you know, even from the stuff that I've talked, it's always been about listings. But really, in this environment, it's all about making personable connections with people and sticking to the major key or the key ingredient to prospecting in this environment. And again, I ask you, even if you're sitting there just making notes, to write this down and constantly remind yourself of it. It's the ability to empathize without sympathizing. So you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes to understand. So in order to be understood, you have to seek to understand how they are feeling. One thing doesn't change with prospecting. You can still going to be in one of three dispositions. So if COVID caught you when you were trying to crack a market, you were trying to create a foothold, well, then we need to actually re-engineer that. Some of you might be coming on board now and saying, I've just moved office, or I've just moved to a new area, or I've just covered in an area that I want to break. And now you're looking at the prospect of breaking into a market and hoping to become a player. So that quick definition, as we always said, 60 to 90% of every market is typically controlled by three dominant agents. We call these the players, the rest of the also-rans. The players are going to be more prevalent now. And you're going to have a glut of stock coming on. There should not be a difficulty in capturing a lot of listings. Having said that, I will say that now the list to sell ratio is likely to drop, especially given that you're going to have an oversupplied market. So there's going to be less buyers, more properties. Naturally, some properties need to miss out. Naturally, some of those will have a change in motive. Naturally, some of them will just not buy in and be able to delay doing anything for a decade in some instances and maybe not play ball. We just have to accept this. So a 70% list to sell ratio is more than acceptable. This doesn't change the mantra. We still want a GML. We still want to contain most of the stock. Traction is that next natural disposition. If you've got listings, the same leveraging capacity that you've always aspired to, you want to just keep building that market share till you get in the place of being a player, and then eventually get into some sort of momentum. And I said this very early on in the piece around COVID, this market presents opportunity rather than adversity if you look at it the right way. But again, it's about constant engagement, and it's about upping the interaction, not just with sellers, not just with prospects, but also with buyers. All right, so let's have a look at the flow chart. Let's have a look at the beginning of foothold, what we want to achieve inside that research phase. So we don't have the welcome homes dropping inquiry in anymore. We do have the online inquiry. We have for sale sign inquiry, I'm hoping. And then we've got telephone inquiry. Well, we want to actually stimulate that. And we're going to be doing that with online marketing of the properties. But I should have actually said online advertising. So a lot of what I've actually talked about is making sure that you become more proficient in advertising property rather than moving into the marketing space. Now, if I was to create a dissemination between the two, advertising is purely and simply about creating or generating inquiry. And you do that because an advertisement either looks good or it sounds good. So when somebody drives past a property and there's a sign at the front, if the outside of the house, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, I reckon that's bullshit. If you pull up out the sun and you see a property that looks good and it's in a good location, naturally you want to call if there's a sign there. So signboards are always imperative. Move to the next space. And as I said, a lot of agents moved into the idea of protracted videos, virtual tours, or virtual open for inspections. And this is surrendering a lot of information. Now, I'm all for that. Where I'm not all for that is moving into the space of surrendering all the information without having obtained the name, email address, and mobile phone number. So this is best achieved by having short, sharp ads, short, sharp photographs, visuals, where most of them then go on to say, for further information or to view the property. So that's a play on our to view websites. So even if you have a short, and what I've had a lot of the agents doing is they'll do a 15, maybe even 10-second video, which is short, sharp punch, which they even do on their mobile phone. And at the end of it, they say for the full length feature or the to view website address, just contact us here. They surrender that data and then you push that across. So this all is the same. We still want to get that funnel of that sales inquiry log up. The more sales inquiry you got, the more you can qualify those buyers, bank those buyers. But can I tell you, the biggest draw card for prospecting now, when you get out to a property, is not to quote price. It's not to sit there and talk about fancy marketing. It's to tell people that you have buyers on file that are qualified, that are ready to go. And I wouldn't be pushing the barrier even from a prospecting perspective of how good your marketing is. I'd be more on the focus of how good our advertising is, how many buyer inquiries we've got, how we're qualifying those buyers, and we're bringing buyers to your property. If they don't buy yours, they'll go on to buy another one, and we'll be able to tell you why. And that's the connection that's important to get across to property sellers. So too is the stuff in your databasing, getting your market roundups out there. The property sellers research guide, which we're going to show you, we've modified that for you and bringing that into. It's available, even though it's a full-scale, full-blown document. The property sellers COVID guide. So we're going to talk to them about the adversity that COVID presents and how to actually go about the business of capturing a buyer and protecting their value as best they can. And all of those other ads. And again, even with the Facebook margin ads, how we can get to view websites and all those sorts of things in there. So in foothold, and then we move into traction. So this is going to majorly fundamental. So in the sales inquiry log, we want to be very heavy on focusing on the harvesting of that. So every single inquiry that you come across needs to be documented into a central pit, and you need to focus very heavily on categorizing where those inquiries are coming from. So if you qualify them as a buyer, then you move to, do you have something to sell? They'll either be a buyer that's already purchased and they don't have anything to sell. They might then move into being one that has talked to a couple of other agents and they do have to sell pending buying. We want to get them the property sellers research guide, as you can see here. They might then be an active property seller. Sorry, I'll just have to jump back to that one. An active property seller, which is the one we're looking for, or they might just be someone that automatically moves into a listing presentation. And then we move through, once we actually do list them, we move through the regenerative prospecting process. And I'll show you how Property Marketer supports that. So we still move in to the LA Woman, which is our just listed. We do move into the to-view website, which is most important that you're getting that out there. That should be the catalyst to driving good inquiry on a localized basis. So you do need to share this inside of the social media spaces, even moving into margin ads and the like. It's fully the new version, which is ready for you to go. So please be patient. But most of you are ready to go pretty much now. Those that are not, tomorrow I should say. Those that are relatively new to this will have you fully operational by Friday on the to-view website. So you're good to go with that. The 4 sales signs are still very important. Obviously not doing welcome homes, but I'm going to show you how we've made some modifications on that during COVID and how that will work. And then of course you move into the selection phase and then all of the things that go with that. And we'll talk about how we've made these modifications inside Property Marketer to make this all work. So the first phase is foothold. If those of you that are starting out, and you simply go in, one of the first draw cards that you can use is put the message in the box. This is the just listed for other agents signs that you might see going up. We've made some slight alterations to that, but basically what that does is you drop this around the signboard that the other agent has put up, and it is headed up, of course, with buyers looking in your neighbourhood. We have buyers interested in buying available property on or near whatever street that is on, and thought we'd drop you this notice in the event you might be planning to sell your property. These are still relevant. I know there's been some reluctance around dropping into the letterboxes. I can pretty safely say right now you can resume that. Those that are finding it offensive, if at all, are not necessarily the property sellers. I think people will get over it. I really wouldn't worry about it right now. You just want to make this connection with those sellers and then move into an advisory space. You might, there's Amazing Grace. If you've got someone that wants to buy on a busy road, that's highly unlikely. Fat Boy is still entirely relevant. So, you know, if you are breaking into an area, get those spasmodically, as it says inside a property marketer, onto the main road locations. It's very simplistic. It shouldn't cost you a lot of money. In the fact that if you list that property, you get some photographs done, you put it into your 2View website, you get a signboard on it, and that's it. That's all the marketing you do. One big tip here though, I know that would behave traditionally with what many of you would call an off-market listing. Do not, under any circumstances, call any listing off-market. This will scare the bejesus out of a seller. So you are putting it on the market. You are just choosing to advertise it in an economical fashion, one where they don't have to fork out a lot of money. Look, I'll talk a lot more about this as we move forward, but I can tell you now, the agencies that are going to go out there and try and sell big marketing packages in the environment that we're going in are definitely going down the wrong road. You don't need to do that. What you do need to do is create a large range of property. You need to advertise well so that you're getting loads of buyer inquiry, and you want to get yourself into the position where you can confidently say to sellers, and certainly to any prospects, that no buyer buys in our marketplace without contacting us at some time. Why can you be so sure of that? Because we have the greatest range, because we advertise successfully, and because we have these qualified buyers, data-based, and we can pretty much cite them out to you. In fact, I had one agent who was going out to a listing and up against a bunch of agents and was getting quite concerned about what they were saying on price and otherwise. And that agent said to me, what's the best thing for me to go down there and counter all this? And started talking about marketing proposals and giving that away. And do I have to discount? I just said, mate, they go slow. Can you name 10 qualified buyers or thereabouts for this particular property? Yes. I said, get those details and don't be afraid for them to see their names in full. Don't be afraid to even sit there with the phone numbers there. I don't think anyone's going to have a photographic memory to be able to contact all those buyers, and just literally show absolute evidence of having those buyers, and then being able to talk about the qualification of that buyer. Nothing is more appealing to a prospective seller in this market than a buyer, than you being able to show evidence of already having the buyers. So the notion of actually saying to someone you've got to spend money to find buyers, that's out the window now. We are moving into an oversupplied market, and it is more important than ever that you get this part right. All right, so they're the things that we do inside of Foothold. Again, don't forget the for sale sign. It's still as strong as it always was, and the most important thing to do. Then I just want to talk about the regenerative prospecting process. This is the most important thing when you get those seed listings, that we move through this environment just the way it suggests here. But you'll see that we've actually changed a couple of things inside the regenerative prospector regime just for COVID right now. So obviously we don't have the welcome homes anymore. I actually think that's a good thing. I'm going to talk more on that and how you become expert in the matching game, pretty much acting like a broker. But in this context here, in terms of prospecting right now, the first thing we still do is LA Woman. We then move to a 2View website almost straight away and get that distributed, and certainly use your owner to be distributing that out and getting that out on social media as best you can, Google AdWords and the like. All of the buyers that you have that suit that property, get them connected, provided you already have their data. The for sale sign goes without saying, and then you want the 2View invite. So not the welcome home invitation, but the 2View. You're welcome to view, and we will send those invitations. We will have those so that you've got those to distribute around the property to any prospective sellers that might come on board. In fact, if some of you have the inclination, there is another suggestion I have around this with pointer boards. If you get some pointer boards made up and you put these out on a weekend, provided your council permits you to do so, and it just says welcome to view, not welcome home, but welcome to view, and it points to the property where they then can make the connection with the 2View website. And in beyond that, they can then make a connection with by calling you, surrendering their details, and making an appointment to view the property. So we really want to play on this 2View concept. The property seller's research guide, which is going to become, as I said, the property seller's COVID guide. So we've rewritten that. And those of you that want to get it on board, this is a management tool. But if you want us to bring it into you, a lot of you already have it who are on board here. But if you are an individual operator and you want to talk to me about it, give me a call tomorrow and we can see if we can't connect you up with it. Then we want to move to the welcome home qualifier. So still that remains the same. So when we get the inquiry, whether or not we bring them into the property to inspect it, around how we run the qualification, and there you'll be asking them, do you have something to sell? Sellogram and Telegram, Sam, I've got to tell you, dependent upon your demographic, I'm going to raise the concept of Telegram, Sam. You should be using this. It's for those people who are of the right vintage. So anyone that's sort of, on the wrong side of 40, I would still be giving this a crack. If not, if your demographic's a little younger than that, then you can move to Sellogram. The sold sticker still plays the same role. You're going to kill me when I talk to you about Accolades in just a second. I know that Justin's on here and he nearly climbed down the phone and throttled me when I said this. But I know that I've said over the years, I don't want you to have the for sale sign with the sold sticker in the Accolade. Well, I've changed my view on that just while COVID is going on, and I'll get to that in just a moment when we reach that point. That we have recently sold and putting those all together. So LA Woman, that's very simplistic. You just go into your property marketer, you hit the drop down box under this tab here on property marketer, go into the templates. As long as you've got your accolades up there, you can go ahead and generate your local listing announcement. I had this conversation with somebody the other day and they said, do you need to have these professionally printed? I thoroughly recommend it. I thoroughly recommend that you get them printed out on card. Why? Because the front is made to look like your signboard. It's a replication of that. I want it to feel like it's a signboard. Then on the back, they're just listed in your neighborhood. We just listed a property, thought the neighbors ought to be the first to know. If you're researching the market ahead of selling, blah, blah, blah. I'm probably going to make a slight variation to that around the word advice. But again, that will be done pretty much overnight or tomorrow. And a lot of these changes will just appear in there in and around COVID. So you're ready to go. The next thing you do is the 2View website. This is a very simple thing. You just go in and confirm your subdomain. The most important thing, this is all new 2View. It's completely configured for the mobile application, ready to go for some of you, as I said, tomorrow afternoon. Even with your existing listings, I'll be doing the same thing, getting these subdomains up and pretty much sharing these wherever you can when you're talking to buyers, sending the links. You've just got to get the buyers engaged on looking at the properties, but you don't want to create that engagement prior to getting their data. So stick with the short, sharp ads, stick with the short, sharp 10-second, 15-second videos to get the data first, and then move in to the space of surrendering it. So you just create the address that is just built around the property address itself, and it just comes up .2view.com.au. Of course, if you're in New Zealand, it comes up .1toview.com.au. And it's very simple. You just jump in, add a site. It's now built in to the platform. You don't have to go out and in again. So I hope you'll all be pretty happy with that. This is how your sites look once they come up. You can reorder the images, move them around. I think you'd be absolutely delighted with how it works. Many of you actually have people in marketing that are doing this, but I do urge you to get this in order. When you get a listing, you get LA Woman out and you get this up and away pretty much straight away. This will be the catalyst to moving it around. Put all the details in. Then we can move into the site itself. So you can see it's fully configured. You've got the full photo gallery, all the details that we've typically had. You can eventually schedule in your welcome homes, but we can still put, you know, if you wanted to schedule them in as a virtual tour, provided you've got people's details, again, that's going to be okay. So any suggestions that you have, just get in touch with us. We can make those alterations to make it work around those apps. But again, the two-view websites are absolutely imperative. So the next space we're going to move to with this is allowing you with the two-view website to actually send it. So you can already share it to Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, but we want you to be able to push this straight into a margin ad. And I thoroughly recommend this. So, you know, if people searching real estate in their analytics, up in their margins will come these two-view websites, and this is going to net not just buyer inquiry, but it's also going to net property sellers if you've got that presence, if you're getting these out in spades. So there it is around that. This is how it looks. This is how it's coming up on the mobile application. It is an absolute winner. And what does it cost you? Nothing. What does it cost the owner? Nothing. So you can keep the idea of advertising and getting information to buyers directly, provided you are banking those buyers. You can do this at a relatively low cost factor, which I believe is going to make you attractive as a real estate agent, in that you're not asking for people for large sums of money up front. Now, this won't be a problem early on, but I really do think this is going to exasperate as we move forward, because some people are just simply not going to have the funds to invest in the advertising of property. And, you know, marketing can be done relatively cheaply in the, you know, all of the tools that we have available. So the big cost has always been advertising with the major portals. I just don't think it's going to be nearly as relative as you might think. And if you get on top of this and you're pushing this out with great regularity, then you're not going to have much of an issue as it relates to the prospecting of property out there. Yeah, so sellers are going to see you. So the Property Sellers Research Guide is going to become the Property Sellers COVID Guide 19. At the moment, you probably really only need to have it in electronic format. So if people are contacting you, you want to be able to give this out. So it's just going to be one, those of you that do have it, where you can just go in, you drop an accolade in, it will have all the bits and pieces there where you can actually drop that accolade in and it will generate the Property Sellers Research Guide. Obviously, it'll be changed at the front to say the Property Sellers COVID Guide. What's going to be the major difference with it? Well, we're just going to talk to them about property value and how it's derived. I'm going to make sure that they understand that comparative value is really irrelevant. Nowadays, what is relevant is their motive and trying to fulfill it. And, you know, market value is going to fluctuate wildly, and those losses are going to be mitigated by a professional agent. It's not going to be said in so many words. Don't panic. I'm a wordsmith. So the words will be of allure to a property seller. So we're almost finished that, and I'll be burning the midnight oil right after this to ensure that it's with you. And then we'll have, so this is where you actually pick that up, but we'll also be able to generate a little tag. So what we're also going to do is make available to you the ability to actually put margin ads out there about downloading the property sellers, and we'll say COVID guide, where people will just give their name and their email address and then be able to download the property sellers COVID guide. So those of you that have come on board with it, you can be assured that it will be ready to go. I don't know if Angela's on here. I haven't had a look at the participants just yet. No. But mate, yours is already ready to go. Same with the guys at Nidus, guys at Madeline Hicks. I can just see a few more there. Hill of Atiri, you guys are good to go. What else we got there? Yes, the eView guys. So Maz, if you're keen, give me a call, because I've actually just done one for Ange, done one for Richard. So there's lots going on. Yep. So what we want to do with the PSRK, that will actually say PSRG, you've just had someone download. So when somebody does download it, it will then automatically send direct to your email that somebody's downloaded the guide. It will then have their name, it will have their email address, and then you're good to go. So we're going to be doing this on your behalf. So if you jump on board, we're putting margin ads out there, collating the data that's specific to the areas that you're working in, and we'll be sending you listing leads. Yes, we will. And this has been a lot of fun. The SALEStrainer, which is the next thing. This is, again, for those of you that once you sell a property, I do urge you not to jump out there and put the sold sticker on it. In the immediate vicinity, get the SALEStrainer and or Telegram Sam out there almost straight away. So this is just made or a play on an Instagram. I'm sorry to inform you that I did shoot my mouth off and say that we wanted to be able from here to share it directly to Instagram. Instagram, its software does not allow you to do that. So you're going to have to format it and then shoot it onto an Instagram yourself. However, you still are able to share the SALEStrainer in through Facebook. So we will be able to do it through Facebook. You will be able to do it through Pinterest. But unfortunately, Instagram does not cater for that sharing function. If, as I said before, your demographic is on the other side of 40, I urge you to use Telegram Sam. Yes, it's quirky, but in this environment, to a seller, this speaks volumes. So you just go in, you can put the time that the property sold, or you can just run with the automatic one. And this is the Telegram. For those of you that are on the wrong side of 40, the lower side of 40, you might be sitting there saying, what is a Telegram? Well, this is the way they used to communicate about 1,000 years ago. But it is pretty quirky because you can develop this straight out. It looks exactly like that. You fold this up just to the line below the bottom here with this hanging out. Business card in, drop it immediately around the houses where you've just had a property go unconditional. You may not want to do the front door with the COVID, with the isolation thing right now, drop it in the letterbox, but I still think it's going to have the desired effect with an imminent property seller. The more evidence they see of properties selling, the more likely they are to jump on board or respond or make the connection to ask the question about it. So do everything you humanly can to not promote the price, make it about the motive, get them to connect, and then move into the advisory role and just, what is it that you're trying to do? Stay on the motive and get out there and give people advice. Okay, so the same with the recently sold, and this is how they all work in. Now, I did say that when we move across to the next space is inside the sales inquiry log, and we move into momentum. And finally, accolades. I've got to tell you, this is easily the most important thing that you can be doing out there right now. And this does not function like a Rate My Agent. We do not want you pushing people across into Rate My Agent and using that as a prospecting tool, because that inadvertently, if you use it for prospecting, draws the prospective seller's attention to the other agents that are out there. Use this independently and you're good to go. So basically with an Accolade, you just jump on, just use the Inspire Me function. Friday afternoon, there will be one in there that is COVID specific, and we'll say these things about it. And this is the part where I said, Justin will kill me. Many times I've told you with the photographs, when you put them in there, that you just choose this, choose the template and get that up and away. Then just move into add an accolade, put all the bits and pieces together. And then when you click into your accolades, you move that into the Facebook sharing. Now, where this becomes really cool, if you get this right, it creates a tiny URL, but we are also, it's not done yet, but it will be done, hopefully by this time next week, where you'll be able to share an accolade, put it into a margin ad, and it then connects back in with the property seller's COVID guide. So they connect with that, they see the guide, they get the guide, they give you their details, basically off an accolade. So the accolade has to be specific to getting advice for a property seller, and it has to show a seller that's really happy. So when we get to the photographs that we do with the sellers, so we talk about creating the text, but I've said with the eyeball thing that we've always gone with head and shoulder shots. And you can see that Sebastian Viteri here has been very compliant around that with me and made sure that he's had the head and shoulder shots and stayed away from having any for sale signs or the like in the background. Well, I want you to change that now. I know some of you are going to kill me, but the reason that I'm saying this is that prospective sellers need to see evidence of property selling. So having the sellers stand in front of a sign with the sold by across it in the accolade, I think at the moment is a good thing. So nothing's ever forever. I'm making that admission, but I think if you can show evidence of property selling in the prospecting mode, that's going to attract even more to come across to you. And we will write the accolade accordingly. We will divert away from the price issue, but put it onto the fact that people have been able to fulfill their motives, and you as a professional agent have been the catalyst in achieving that. These are absolutely critical. That's why they permeate the whole property market suite, and that's why these tools become so important. So once you get them up and away, you just move into the sharing space of sharing these accolades with great regularity all throughout their Facebook space, onto the owner's pages. But again, and I can't stress this enough, getting these into margin ads where you've just got an accolade for selling a property, or, you know, you can even have a tagline with it. Get the property seller's COVID guide, we did, and they click to that, they get the guide, they surrender the information. You're making connections with active property sellers. So there it is. Probably the most important thing that I urge you to get underway. There's plenty more to come on top of this, but this is the basis by which we re-engage these property sellers. There will be a lag. There will be some resistance around pricing. We will be giving you the dialogue. I'm still doing this now. Those of you that are interested, I'll be moving into one-on-ones tomorrow and Friday to get you online and get you going with this and make sure that you are quite proficient around this and you are keeping continuity up, but also coaching you one-on-one with the words to use. Yes, these webinars have been very strong around this, but the dialogue I'm finding needs to be tailored. I mean, I just had one today where there was a deal that was struck, and, you know, whilst the intent behind the dialogue was quite strong, I listened to it at the end. I said, hang on a sec. I like what you're trying to say. I don't like the way you've said it. And I changed I moved through the dialogue with the reiteration, and that sales professional, who remain nameless at the moment, was floored. Just said, wow, I just wish I could remember how to say that. I said, it's just practice. And all I'm really giving you is the experience of that. So, there we go. So that is about the size of it. If you do have any questions, I invite you to drop them on board now. As I said, over the next 2 days, if you want to jump on board and make a time with me to just jump online and walk you through this and give you set up and put a one-on-one specific prospecting plan together with you, I'm more than happy to do that. I know some of you have already engaged me to do that, and we will be doing that over the next couple of days. But other than that, I thank you for jumping on board, and I say from tomorrow morning, get on board and start engaging your property marketer and getting those prospecting hooks out there. And with the next installment, I'll talk to you or share more time on the precise dialogue to use with them to get it across the line.